All right, so center position is pretty good. When I get up on the approach here with you, I'll see exactly where your left arm is. We might adjust that a little bit. But let's go to the motion. And at a glance here, like pretty fluid actually. So that is really close to what we want. But there's something with the left hand we can adjust. Now, I break it two-handers into two categories, those with a push away, those without. You have a push away. And usually those are the push away. I see two basic timing positions. The first that I have Chris Vile show you here in a minute with new video of Chris actually. Him and Belmo, a lot of two-handers on the push away. They'll be about waist level after step 2. After step 3, it'll be more under their shoulder. Okay, you're going to be a little bit more down on 2 and more by your hip on 3, which is fine. Okay, so let's go into the motion. You'll hold it steady on 1, and always make sure the first step is nice and short. Okay, on 2, you go out nice and smooth. The hand does come kind of below the elbow a little bit. Okay, and what happens with a two-hander? These announcements kill me every day. Okay. I gotta wait till he's done. Sorry.
No worries.
In case you didn't know, the food is ready. Okay. All right. So, with a two-handed style, the swing doesn't take as long. So that's one thing when people convert, they don't make their timing late enough usually. With a one-handed, with a backswing head higher, we want the ball out and down. But since the swing doesn't take as long with two-handed, we can't be as early in the approach. Okay? On the next step, you're going to be up by your hip already. Okay? So the other reference is this arm is kind of parallel to the approach. Okay? So we might work a little bit. We'll see how it plays out. We might work a little bit of kind of just a slower push where you might feel like it stays closer, but it stays up a little bit. Okay? Let's show you with Chris. Now, I got new video of the guys during the Masters, so I have some new videos of the guys. So I have new video of Chris Vi. All right, let's see his side view here. Okay. Oops, let's just go to one screen, I guess, since I screwed that up. Okay. So small 1. On 2, he eases it out, but see how that arm is still parallel to the approach. So the ball's just above the waist. On 3, it comes kind of down and back, but you see how his arms are almost straight, so he's almost under his shoulder. Then it's the top of the swing before southpaw comes through. But one thing, especially with him, I use him for a good example for people. Look, now he's a big guy. He's like 6'2" or 6'2.5". Super powerful. But look how smooth he gets the ball into motion. Now that's deceiving. That's a ball speed of like 19.5 with a rev rate of 580. It looks like he's doing nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. But you see how smooth he gets started. Nothing is quicker herky-jerky at the start. Then he builds momentum. Okay? So you're close on this, and everybody has their own timing to some degree. But we might just have you feel like it's a little bit slower push that stays a little bit closer. And then your hand might not be down as much. You can kind of do that home with a mirror. No motion on 1, kind of ease it out to about your waist on 2. Okay. Now, I think last time I used Marshall Kent as an example, and he's not really a two-hander. And he has more like this timing. Okay. So that now that this is bad, if the ball's lower on 2, it's back further on 3. And then when that happens, you'll have more of the traditional skip step. So step 4 is a reaction to what happens on 2 and 3. Okay.
Kind of, yeah. Like skip step has been.
Now, the problem a lot of people, or the mistake a lot of people make when they convert, is they try to have a skip step. The skip step will develop if it's needed. You should not try to make one.
Oh yeah, I've never. It's always been a habit. And
yes,
been wanting to
and
get
that's
rid of it.
okay.
Absolutely.
So if I go back to Chris, his 4 step will definitely get quicker, but it's not really a skip step.
Right. Yeah,
It's
that's
way
more or less what I'm. Yeah.
okay. But it's because he has time to not have a skip step.
Right.
His ball's under his shoulder. left arm was already parallel to the approach. Your ball was here. So the further the ball is back on 3, the more the skip step happens. If we got you later on 3 by being not down as much on 2, your 4-step would change. So your lower body reacts to your upper body, especially on step 4. Okay. So we can play with that a little bit. Now let's use Chris for this other thing I'm going to show you. The left hand position is super important. So if you watch where his left hand is on the ball in his backswing, the front of the ball is by his lower forearm past his wrist. So the left fingers are pretty deep on the ball. And that's something that I saw with both Darren and Jesse, where their left hand was in a super weak position.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
Okay? Let's look at your left hand. In the backswing, the front of your ball, your thumb is on the front of the ball. The front of their ball was by their lower forearm. So you have a weaker left hand position.
Yeah.
And that's why this hand is bent back. So with you, you want to feel like the ball in the backswing is at the base of your left wrist. So the left hand will go deeper on the ball, and that'll make this angle more flat. You see how they have a little curve? That's common if your thumb is on the front. Okay? Now that's close. Let me show you what's not close. Okay? First, I'll show you with, let's see, let's pull up Jesse first. I think he was in April. Okay. Now you can see we did lots of shots. This is his first shot. And again, he was trying to have his right fingers under the ball in the backswing, which still makes me laugh. Okay. Well, he was. Okay.
That's crazy.
And again, even when I said to you, imagine trying to have your right hands under the ball in the backswing, you made a face like, what?
For real. I mean, he gets them under it,
But then the left hand's on the front.
Yeah,
And then his left hand actually leaves the ball. So in the backswing, he's hardly on the ball.
So does it come off and then come back on? Is that,
Kind of,
like
yeah. Yeah.
Kinda? That's crazy.
So let's look at some other shots I did with him. Let's see here. Okay, look at where the left hand is now.
That's way better.
And see that totally changed the swing.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with you. We want the front of the ball by your wrist, your lower forearm. That totally changed his swing.
Yeah.
But like, there's no way to have the left hand in a strong position if your right hand is under the ball in the backswing. And one-handed, two-handed, never have your right hand under the ball in the backswing.
For real. That's great.
Okay, but see that created that kind of typical box, right? The rectangle, right? Okay, and that's what he thought about that night. He shot 740.
Holy
Okay.
cow.
Okay.
So different. Completely different.
Yeah, if we go to his backswing again here. Yeah,
That's wild.
Okay.
It's literally off of his left
I know
hand
it.
completely.
Now let's go to Darren's first shot as a two-hander on video. Okay. And this was weird for Darren to work on too, actually. All right. So that's kind of a push like you, actually. So that's kind of like you also, right? Watch his left hand.
I was barely touching it.
Okay. And he had no idea about that. So he's really been working on getting that left hand deeper. Okay. So I actually messaged Jesse a few days ago. At this point, who has the better left hand position, you or Darren? He goes, he showed me a video of him. His left hand was off the ball. He goes, I would say it's Darren.
Nice.
Okay.
That's crazy, though. It's like at his fingertips.
That's super common when people convert. Because you don't think about your left hand when you're bowling two-handed right-handed.
Think about that. Yeah.
Let's go to a couple of these other shots that we worked on. That's definitely better. See, that makes the swing go up a little bit more too. So you see how the front of the ball, like his wrist is in front of the ball on the left. Front of the ball is in front of his wrist. So we can do the same thing with you. You're going to feel in your backswing the ball is that you want to feel like the base of your palm stays in contact with the ball. You can't do that if your hand is in the front. Okay? So you're going to work on what those guys worked on. Okay? Let's go back to you. Let's look at a different shot with you. It's going to look the same, by the way. So like I said, we can work on the push. See how you're kind of locked and low? We can work on it, keeping it closer, but a little bit higher. Okay? And that can change your timing a little bit. That'll change your step forward. You know, if we got the center of the ball to be here, the ball wouldn't be as far back on 3. Okay? Now, you don't have to be like Chris's timing, but I would like to see on 3 where there's some angle down with this arm. Maybe the ball will be, the center of the ball will be here instead of where it is. Okay? But we can definitely work on that left hand position because you also have a weaker left hand position. Not as weak as Darren and Jesse.
That is different. Yes.
Okay.
Makes me feel a little bit better.
But you also, it's almost like your right fingers are too low on the ball. Okay? Now that'll change as we work on the left hand. But remember where Chris's left fingers were up here on the ball. And he had that straight line here. So if you need to, you can do it at home with a mirror. With a ball, you just stand, so mirror to the side. It's almost like a cradle. You have your arms go back and forth. So in the backswing, the left arm would be straight angle with the wrist, but the front of the ball would be kind of by the wrist or the lower forearm instead of the hand on the front of the ball. Okay? Yep. Okay, and that makes a big difference of the swing. Okay? So now let's go to the back view because you do 2 things that I see commonly when people convert. Okay? There's another thing I see commonly with a high-level two-hander is, and we might have talked about this last time actually, when the swing goes up, it comes in more than a one-hander. So we don't want it in line with the head at the top of the swing. It should be inside the head. You go outside the head. And then you bring it in, but then you have to redirect it to swing it. Okay?
Yeah, that follow-through has been killing me.
Yeah. Okay? Now, this is with a weak left-hand position, that swing tends to stay out to the right more. With a stronger left-hand position, I've seen this lots of times, the ball comes in more in the backswing. So we might not have to work on that. It might take care of itself with the left hand. Okay? But you can kind of see, pushing and everything is fine. Okay? You might even feel like you push a hair to the right, not to be in so much. Okay? Because with both hands, you need room.
Yeah, I've been having trouble with, like, sometimes it kind of escapes away from my ankle. Really
Okay, yeah. And that's because it's out as it's coming down. Okay? And then if you brought it in closer on the way down, it'd be really hard to swing it. Okay? Let's just look at the back view with a couple of swings here. Now, Darren's swing was actually in the right spot. Let me choose Darren. I can't believe I'm using Darren again as an example for a two-hander. But his swing is what I typically see, the direction of his swing. Let's go to his back, long-range back view here. Okay. All right. Let's go into the motion here. See how the swing goes inside the head on the way up? That is super common. I have never seen like a touring two-hander with the ball not in that position. It's inside the head. Now, as a one-hander, we don't want that. As a two-hander, we do. Okay? And you can see when you go up in your backswing, you're to the right. Okay? So the left-hand position might make a difference. Okay? Notice where his left hand is more under the ball. You're on the inside with your left. You can't be on the inside of both. Your ball will fall away. Okay? So when we change that left hand, this might change your swing. Okay? And then once it's in, it stays in on the way down. It always stays inside the head. If it's out of the top, it's out. It's in line with your head there. Watch when he comes down by his waist. It's inside the head by a whole ball. But now he's in line to his target line. Your ball will come in, and then you have to make it go out again. So it's super hard for you to project to the break point.
Yeah, that's been an issue.
Correct. So what the issue projecting to the break point is the result of your swing's not in the right spot. It's all cause and effect. And then if you force it right, it doesn't read right anyway. And then you feel like there's nowhere to throw your ball, which is a terrible feeling.
Yes, exactly. I feel like I've handcuffed myself a lot recently.
Correct. Okay. So even in motion with Darren, you'll see how the swing comes in on the way up. Okay. Yep. Okay. Actually, that's Marshall over
I
there.
was gonna say it looked like
Yeah.
Marshall.
This was right before the Masters, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, if I show you Marshall as a two-hander, this is old video. But he actually does it really well. That's why I use it for an example. If we go to the back view, we'll see the same thing. The push, I should say the swing, it's like halfway inside the head on the top of the swing.
Like, wow. That's a great spot.
Okay. And then it's just straight on the way down. So he doesn't have to redirect it to hit his lines. Okay. The side view with Marshall, and literally this day we did 2 shots two-handed. We had worked for an hour and a half one-handed. I said 2 shots two-handed. I recorded a side view and a back view. And he admitted some of his one-handedness, if that's where it came in. Okay. But if we look at his left hand position, it's where it should be.
So good two-handed.
I know it. But see, that's a great reference from the side. The front of the ball past the wrist. And notice his right hand's not as low. You can't have both under. But that is a and see how that's a straight line there. Okay. On his 3, he has a slight angle down still with his arm. You were already parallel. So we can work on timing a little bit, but then we're going to really work on the left hand position. And when we work on the left hand, we'll see where the swing goes. Most of the time, that helps the swing come in a little bit. If it doesn't, then we can work on keeping the swing in. Okay? We'll check your release, but your release is not the issue. I can tell you that already. Some of this other stuff is probably causing a weaker hand position of your release.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
I feel like the release was...
And we never want to see that, where the hand is off the ball.
Yeah, that's...
And look at it, it's hardly touching it. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll text him and say, hey, I used you as a two-hander. And we had a good laugh. Okay. Let's go to your release. All right. So pushing direction's fine now that I see it. But here we can see. So the left hand eventually will be over this way and higher up. And if this is over this way, that swing will come in more. You can almost see how there's like, that's not quite straight. So we want this over here so this is straighter. But it has a lot to do with that left hand. You can even see at the back, you're bent backward with the left wrist. Okay? So let's go to your release. Now, the other common thing is, with two-handers, the right hand is usually going to be a little bit left of the equator. Okay? It's hard to have this hand in more if the left hand is in more. Your ball would fly off to the right in your backswing.
Yeah, that's how it feels a lot.
Okay? So that left hand is going to make a big difference. And see, there you get your right hand in more. But even here, see how your left hand is more on the side. Those other guys are more front and back. Okay. Oh, I know it.
I don't know where to put it. It feels like
Well, usually the left hand, it doesn't have to be right on top, but we don't want it on the side because then it stays more on the side. And then it's more on the inside. So we want it a little bit more over, not all the way over, because then you feel like a T-Rex. Okay, so we can adjust that a little bit. If I show you like with, well, let's use Chris. Chris gets way on the inside of the ball. It's actually less on the inside than he used to be, but you don't have to be this far on the end.
I mean, I wish. I love watching him.
Oh, well, it's awesome, but you don't have to be this far in. Okay, but I agree. It's really pretty impressive. Where's his release shot here? Here we go. Let's go to the top of the swing. Well, there's a common spot. It's halfway inside the head. The left hand is more in the center. The right side is in deeper. Okay. So if we go to your backswing, so that's quite different, isn't it? But the left hand is also different, which makes the right hand different. So his head and his right shoulder is actually right of his ball. Your ball is right. Okay. And then it's hard to keep it in tight on the way down. Yours is in line with your head. His is inside the head. And notice how his left arm is more on the front, you're on the side. So that left arm position is crazy important for a two-handed right-hander, which still sounds weird. Okay? But you can see how important that is. If your left arm is more in front, your right arm could be in left more. You can't have both hands on the inside.
Is there like a certain like I don't know? I'm good with like key points, so like
Yeah.
I
And,
like to like have a certain.
and when you get back up there, I'll stand in front of you to see where your left hand is. But you always want to feel like it's more front and back, not left hand on the side. And you can see your left hand is too far on the side. Look, you're past the circumference. I see the circumference of his ball past his left hand. So the weaker the left hand, the weaker the right hand. And if your right hand was on the inside too, your ball would go to like lane 4. Okay? But that's kind of why, you see, even there, it stays inside the head. So with two-handed, it's always inside the head in the backswing and through the release. Okay?
That's why it makes it feel so deceptive. It feels
I know.
Like I'm throwing it good. And like,
Yep.
But then I'm like, I don't know why it feels
Correct.
so drastically different.
You're really close, actually. But these two things, that left-hand position is unbelievably important. Okay? All right, let's stop recording there. Save that. Okay? But it's super common. Both Jesse and